I think while waiting for people to join, we may just start with some introductions first. So, hi everyone, welcome to the April's EMEA and APAC's Adobe Analytics Champion office hours. I'm Victoria. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia, so it's actually 9 p.m. time for me. I know people are joining all around the world with a focus on APAC. So I imagine for most people it's late afternoons. So good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm accompanied. I have three brilliant Adobe champions joining me for today's office hours. Today we'll be going through the questions we collected from various channels. And for those who joining the office hours for the first time, we may start with a brief introduction of ourselves, our roles, before we start going through the questions. I may start with myself. So I'm Victoria Xiao. I'm the product manager of digital analytics at National Australian Bank. My team looks after the digital analytics roadmap for analytics as well as media tags. So anything to do with Adobe Analytics tracking, measurement, media analytics, tracking and optimization strategy that falls within our team. For myself, this is the second year I've been elected as the Adobe champion. My experience with Adobe, I have been an active user of Adobe platform for probably over 10 years now. I started with Adobe Experience Manager and slowly expanded my skill set to like Adobe Analytics, Target, Campaign, and eventually all over the Adobe Experience Cloud. But Adobe Analytics is still my favorite product among the Adobe Experience Cloud. So that is a little bit about me. I may hand over to Deb to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm a delivery solutions manager with Deloitte. I'm a product owner within the firm for Adobe Analytics and CJA. And I've been working with Adobe Analytics for about 10 years, way back when it was Site Catalyst. And the UI was having ad hoc and discovery, if some of you may know that. And then my focus is within my firm mostly on data strategy, identifying opportunities for data enrichment, data governance. But at the heart, I'm a marketing analyst. So whenever I have a chance to focus on any analysis, I dive right in. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yep.
Um,
Thank you, Deb.
yeah.
Anna, do you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Anu Abraham. I'm based out of India. I'm working in Publicis Sapient as a senior associate in the data analytics team here. I have around 9 years of experience working with Adobe Analytics and Adobe Target. So I also started from a different background, but then moved into digital analytics. And since then, this has been my passion. I also love to mentor people, getting them help for preparing for certifications and anything related to Adobe Analytics implementation. I would really love to look into that. This is my second year in the Champions program. So yeah, that's all about me. Over to you, Leo.
Okay, sure. So, hi everyone. This is Leo Lau. I am the director of Martech Lead Asia for Manulife, and I'm based in Hong Kong. So, not as late as Victoria, but still 7 p.m. already. So, I've been using the Adobe Analytics for since 2011. So, 14 years of usage already, and then I had implemented the Adobe Analytics for two major insurance companies in the region for over 200 different digital properties. So I think from an in-house point of view, it is quite a lot. that for this implementation and then supporting all those reporting requirements. But apart from the Adobe Analytics, so my role is on MarTech, but which is very much Adobe stack solution. So we also have some usage on the Adobe Target and then some CDP type of adoption. We also do AEM, but it is not really my strength. My strength is still within the data-driven side, which is the analytics, target, and CDP types of solutions. So it is my third years into this Adobe Analytics champion. So it is quite a good experience. And then I know that we are now open, we are going, not now, we are going to open for the next year, next cohort enrollment. So everyone on the call, if you think want to join the party, follow up on those LinkedIn posts from all of us, and then you will see when the application really opened, and then just try, and then it is a good party at the end.
Yeah, thank you, Leo. That's a very good quote. Yes, we'll be soon opening up the next cohort and selection of the next champion group. There will be a session around, I believe, 15th of May. There will be some actual champion sharing the experience, like the value out of the champion program. So if you are interested, Ivana, if you can hear me, probably post the details of the link in the chat section so people can subscribe and register for that event. But thank you for that call, Leo. Yeah. So yes, Leo, Anu, and Deb are actually all very famous, high-profile champions among the cohort. So today, very honored to be sharing the office hours with all of them. So with that, I may start sharing screen on our so can everyone see the Adobe Analytics interface?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. So a little bit housekeeping before we start, jump into the questions. First of all, this session is being recorded. If you do want to revisit the recording post this session, please come and visit the YouTube channel for Adobe Analytics user groups. So Adobe Champion Office Hours is one of the activities we run. We also have offline user groups all over the world. I think mostly in America, but we're definitely expanding to APAC and EMEA as well. So if you do want to have a look at the regional activities or visit the past champion office hours recordings, this is the place to be. So do search Adobe Analytics user groups in YouTube. You'll be able to find this page, which will allow you to revisit all the past recordings as well as the most up-to-date user activities recordings. So with that, let me come back to the Adobe Analytics workspace. So if you have joined Office Hour before, every month we collect questions from different channels. Some are from the Experience League, some are submitted directly to us. And for this month, we have collected 6 questions in total. We'll be going through them one by one. Looks like we will have some spare time after the 6 questions. So if you do have any additional questions, feel free to pop in the chat section. We'll be able to address it during the office hours. So I do encourage everyone to use this opportunity to raise questions, and you can get an instant response from us. The first question is related to the Fallout report. So you may know Fallout is one of the visualizations offered by Adobe Analytics. And this particular question asks about, in the Fallout report, sorry, I may just zoom in a little bit so it won't be too small for you. In the follow-up report, if you want to understand where exactly visitor navigated away, how to understand that? I tried with breakdown fallout at this touch point, but number doesn't show correct. It shows the page visitor visited also. So for this particular fallout question, Leo, do you want to share some thoughts on this particular one to kick us off?
Yeah, sure, of course. So maybe I cannot share, but maybe can you let me share the screen because I
Yes,
try and drop
of
something.
course. Yes, I'll stop sharing and hand over to you, Leo.
Yep. And then let me try to share window. Oh no. Hold on. I need to turn on some setting. Oh, my apologies. So I'm still in the office, so I'm using the office computer. It do not allow me to do the sharing. So maybe, Victoria, do you mind if you go back to do the sharing and then let me just go through what I try to do and then what is this for breakdown. So I think everyone should quite familiar with this for our visualization, and then it is quite a important tools for us to understand how the people going through some predefined journey that we always want the user to go through. And then I had actually prepared a example that myself is Victoria, you go to search for the component page and then go into the page. I use the example for the create account. So search
Okay.
for the component. Yeah.
Search for
Page.
page.
Yes. And then go into the page and then search for create account. So it is a three-step process in this demo repository that with the create account, we got the step one, step two, step three, and then we can add this step one and then step two and then step three to understand, okay, basically how people are going through this process. This part easy, and then step three, and then we remove the all visitors. So we start from the step one. So it gives us the understanding. Okay, how for all the people who start the step one, how many of them going to the step two and going to the step three? And then within these for our visualizations, if we right click, let's say we right click on step three, we have this fallout at touch point. So the fallout at touch point is trying to give us some more analysis that if the visitor goes through step one and step three, step one and step two, but not step three. So we right click on step three and then select this breakdown for out. Breakdown for out. Next one.
This one? Yeah.
Yeah, so it can tell us that the people who where they going instead of the step three. So you can see from this title that it says step one, step two, but not step three actually. So how we can know that it is exactly what we wanted? And then we can see the page that, okay, if the user on step one, step two, but not going to step three, where did they go? So I think one of the possibilities that for these the our friend who submit the questions thinking it is not correct is where we right click and then do the breakout. Because if we, let's say, break out, do the breakdown for the four out from step two, it means user on step one, but not to step two. If we right click on step three and then select the breakdown for out, it will be user going through step one and step two, but not step three. How we know about this? Because you can see that in this table, we have a segment. So basically, Adobe is just helping us to create this segment. And then we know that segment has a definition. We can go in to this definition to understand how Adobe is trying to do this analysis. So if Victoria right click on this pencil icon, on the upper right corner to have a really detailed look onto this segment definition, we can see that first, it tried to rule out, exclude the visit who going through this step 1, 2, 3. So we rule out the people who complete this step 1, 2, 3. And then next, we do a sequential segment to include something happen after. Because in this end segment, you can see that in this tiny icon with 3 bar and then a box at the bottom, which means it is a sequential segment for after. So we list out something happened after this sequence. And then what is the sequence? It is step 1, and then step 2, and then some page. So you see, no, the one below that we have step 1, and then we have step 2. Okay, all good. And then we have page exists, then page does not exist. So it gives us the understanding that, okay, we have people going through step 1, step 2, and then some pages, and then to no more page, which basically drop out. So if we think, okay, then the logic is not quite what we wanted, actually we can come in here and then just make our own adjustment. Because sometimes, okay, we may not want to just exclude people directly from the final no more page exists. The people may be step 1, step 2, and then 2 or 3 more pages. We want to do this analysis as well. We can then exclude, we can then remove this final exit page. But from here, we can clearly seeing that, okay, it is trying to do a segmentation that we rule out all people finishing step 1, 2, 3, but include people after the page 1, page 2, and then have some page view immediately. So it is basically giving out the idea on how the people going if they are not step 1, step 2, step 3, but step 1, step 2, and something else. And then it drop out immediately. So this may be some of the expectation different from what we may want that, okay, people step 1, step 2, then go to home, go to product, go to some other pages. But in this segment, it just cut that step 1, step 2, some page, and then the user left. So it may be the cause of difference on some expectation on the number in here, and also where we right click and then do this breakdown for our analysis, that we need to right click on the correct step so that we can understand where they go.
Yeah, thank you, Leo. Yes, definitely echoing. I think in my early years when using Adobe Analytics, like right click and found some out of the box function is definitely like a little Christmas surprise for me. I think right click is something potentially many of the even many of the experienced Adobe Analytics users wasn't aware of. Now I basically try right click every now and then. For this particular one, yes, I highly recommend rather than building a segment from scratch all by yourself, this particular feature breakdown for at least touch points, Adobe Analytics actually created the segments for you. And even if it doesn't necessarily address the particular problem you want to solve, as Leo mentioned, you can actually go in and modify these segments and create your own, like customize your segments based on like this automatically created segments from Adobe Analytics based on the fallout diagram. So definitely encourage you, rather than creating something from scratch, recommend to explore something that's actually much easier and provided by Adobe Analytics out of the box already. So, Anu and Deb, anything you'd like to add on this question? Or any trick, like tip and tricks you want to share on the fallout visualization?
I just say that when you're doing your checkpoints, if you're feeling your data is not wrong, there's another call out to see what kind of container you've used, whether you've used a visit or a visitor container. And then if you're not seeing what you expected to, another one is the eventual versus the next path. So those are two other checks. In the drop down right over there, you would see the eventual path versus the next hit path. So the next hit path creates a more conservative option, whereas eventual path is giving you more of a fluidity to work within the flow. So you can use either of those options and see where your path is going, and if that is essentially what you are looking for. So those are the two other checkpoints I would suggest to check when going through this, if the numbers you're looking at are not what you expected.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that call, Deb. Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah,
miss
so I
this every
think
now and then as well. Yeah, sorry, Anu. Yeah,
yeah, I think Deb and Leo has they've explained it pretty well. So yeah, I'd
Yeah.
probably take the next one.
yeah, cool. Thank you, Anu. So that is thank you, Leo, for taking us through and answering the first question on full visualization. So the next one is about bot traffic, which I think is a really good question because I believe all of us, any Adobe Analytics user, might get this question from stakeholders. So this one is in solution mode already. So this particular user asked this. It was recommended that the following approach be used to help eliminate the bot traffic. I wanted to ask if this is a valid approach. A visitor level segment where the following is excluded: page views equals 1 and time spent per visit granular equals 0. I'd also be interested in any recommendations for handling bot traffic. So Anna, what's your view on this?
Yeah. So I guess the person is trying to like identify single page visits and where like time spent, total time spent during that visit is 0. There could be some say it may not be accurate all the time, but we have something already in place using the board rules. So in the reports with settings, under general, we have something called board rules, and then we have something called enable IAB settings, I believe. So what that would do is it would filter out all the common spiders and boards that are widely like internationally accepted. So IAB, I think, is the International Advertising Bureau. So whichever are the spiders and boards in that list, that would get filtered out using that checkbox. So I'm not sure if we have access to report suite admin settings here, but this particular settings would be available for you under admin report suite, and then select the report suite that you want to configure this bot traffic exclusion, and then you would select under general, you would select bot rules, and then you'll have a checkbox in there which you can use to that is called enable IAP bot filtering rules. So enabling that in itself would filter out almost all the industrially accepted spiders and bots. But apart from that, if you think you have crawlers or some automation tools that you have for your website, then we can also exclude them as well. So there are 3 ways in which we can do that. We can use an IP address range, so we can specify the range of IPs that are to be excluded, and also we can use the individual IPs as well. And then there is user agent, so we can specify any of these to filter out the bot with any kind of spiders or crawlers or even automation tools that we have in place.
Thank you, Anu. Yes. So I do apologize because I'm not admin for this particular
Yeah.
Adobe Champion space. So that's why I cannot demonstrate like what you described. But I found an article on Experience League. This one is actually very newly updated, like early this year, on how to configure bot rules. So I may just copy paste this one into the chat for anyone who are interested and who does have admin access in your Adobe Analytics instance. It's list out like step by step guide on what's the best way to configure and check your bot rules for this for your report suite. So I posted in the chat. Have a look if you're interested.
And I want to add on here that actually, if we look at this page to the left menu, you will see two more very useful articles, that the common bot signature and the bot exclusion method. Because the method, as mentioned by the uh, questions asker, is one of the signature you may find in here, but there are quite a lot. And then I don't think we want to include all of them because they can be very complicated, and then not all of them can be configured in that admin bot rule configuration. Some of those could be done by the segment, and then we create some virtual repository. Then with that segment to exclude some bot traffic. So you can also see from the next article that the bot exclusion method it also cover a couple of different common methods on how we do the bot exclusion. And then I think the bot rule will be the best one because it will from the very fundamental level to exclude those bot traffic going into the end user view. Some other maybe including the segmentations creation that will be depends on whether the user can access to the base parent repository where no segmentation on it, and then they will still be able to see those bot traffic. So really, the best one is really the bot rule, but really based on the agent, the browser agent string and the IP address.
Yeah. Thank you, Leo, for that call. Yes. Probably it's also a good time to call out that in Experience League there are actually many good articles, and as you can tell, many of them are updated very frequent basis. This one was only updated basically yesterday, as you can tell. So definitely recommend Experience League. Search. Try your questions in the Experience League. You may sometimes find there are existing resources available in there already. Highly recommend to have a look. So
There
thank
is,
you. Yeah.
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
There is another option. I know we look at bot traffic in different ways. Like if you don't have the admin access, then and you move more towards segment building, like Leo was saying, look at those signatures and build like a incremental segment, right? Like there's an iterative process to this. You want to add those signatures one by one and see what impact that has, and it also means that do you want to add it in your regular reporting versus do you want to exclude that traffic altogether? So what we do is we create bot segments, we make them available to our enterprise users and leave that decision with them. There is also a way, I don't know if we can go in there, but there is a bot template report you can take a look at among all the workspace templates. So that's a very snazzy report, which I tend to look at a few times. In general, it should be there, Victoria, somewhere in your templates in Workspace. Uh, Check it out. It is something that at the for your organization you can pull that and look at that report. So it's one of the Workspace templates available. Another idea is to take your bot traffic and add it into a separate report suite, like a virtual report suite, and create reports out of that to see over time, it has the traffic dropped, is there new sources or new user agents that are coming through. So those are some of the options, like at the admin level and as a analyst level, what you can do, like keep, but that's something that you need to keep monitoring, and also keep adding and building on segments, and socializing those bot segments based on how active your user groups are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to add one more. If you go for the segment approach, do a good documentation on why these are for traffic, etc. Because over time, the list may go longer or shorter, whatever, and then people after will start asking, okay, why this is a bot? Because sometimes they are internal bot that your IT may be given some sort of website scanning, etc., and then we will start loading the trace or track on, okay, why they are bought, and then it will becomes a problem on, okay, should we keep it or should we remove it? So remember to do a good documentation on setting up this bot segmentation.
Thank you, Leo. And I just, if anyone paying attention to the chat, I actually just found out a brilliant answer from one of the attendees, Koth, about his approach. So he says, the IAB bot list typically contains the friendly bots that like to be found by having a custom browser signature. Quite often, you may encounter modern browser signatures that also cover a bigger part of the website. What typically works for me is a virtual report suite with a ever-growing bot segment that is excluded. Starting with operating system, you can add whatever bots that may crawl your website. There's no real one-size-fits-all. Yes, totally agree. There's no real one-size-fits-all. And I think your approach, I think both Leo and Deb mentioned about the virtual report suite with event segments at echoing the approach quite well. So thank you for sharing your approach in the comment section. Really appreciate that, Koth. Cool. So we covered the bot traffic one. The next one is about tracking submissions. What EVAs do you need to collect data related to form submissions conversions? How to ensure the EVA previous page value is tracked correctly when the form page is from different subdomain? So who wants to take this one?
I can talk to you a little bit about what we are doing currently. So we have different kinds of forms. One is a contact us, one is an RFP. That's something that we are B2B. So this is one of the KPIs that is close to what we call as success. So from a form submission, we do a few things. One is on the actual form, we try to create a path so that, like, say, like the fallout report, we do the button click or the contact us form click. That action is captured. When they land on the form page, we capture an IVAR over there. And when they submit, we capture another IVAR. So there's like three IVARs that we capture so that we can look at the completion rate and that fallout, how that looks like. So that's one. From a pathing perspective, that gives us a lot of insight. The other thing is on the form itself, it's important to say what other actions you want to capture. So we do kind of like an email hash ID, which we keep within the system, and then we send that out and it's decrypted on the CRM side. We also have something like a form type. So say, for example, this is the form is regarding a particular industry. So we have some certain drop downs on the form. So we try to capture that industry which they are in. So that's something that we capture additionally on the form, from the forms, both on contact us and RFP. And also, although we don't need to do anything about this, we create metrics, and then we encourage others to use the participation metrics so that they can look at what other pages within the journey influence the form submission. So we use participation metrics most of the time to report out on the success of a form page. So we have the core metric, which is last touch, and then from there we encourage participation metrics to see um, what other pages influenced it. How do you ensure the previous page values track correctly? There is a get previous page option within implementation. You can use that. And also, what you could also do is there's one other trick we add on to that. Not trick, I would say another measure is that even the entry page is captured. Even when there's no previous page on the entry page, we capture it as entry page is previous page. That's something we added. And then when you are coming in from different domains, or if your form's an iframe, usually we cannot talk to that iframe, because if it is on a different domain, we tend to add actions around that container which we can capture, or the first click on that iframe we capture, so that we know that they've interacted with the form. So I mean, these are some of the ways you can do it. You can either keep it simple and just do the submit form, or you can go a little crazy if it's one of your key KPIs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
And I just wanted to add, so say if the form is like really important. So for one of our clients, what we did is basically it was the contact us form, and there were some mandatory fields, and it was not expecting, we were not getting the kind of conversions that we were expecting. So what we did is we have like 1,000 events, right? So we started firing an event on each of the form fields that were interacted on. So in essential, there were like 10 mandatory fields, so it was like 10 events. But we could identify like where exactly these particular users were dropping off. There are other ways in which you can do that too. You can just simply have an evar and then have it populated with the latest field. But then having an event in here would give you a great visual representation if you're using a fallout diagram. So you can track each one of these events in the different steps of the fallout, and you can see where exactly most people are falling out. And then you can also see if you take the eventual path or the next hit in the fallout, you can also observe that not everyone might start from the top of the form or the first field of the form. So that kind of insights you can get if you have a kind of a field level tracking, if that form is like really important for you.
Yeah. Thank you, Anna and Deb, for sharing. I think Deb shared, as you can tell from Deb's answer, like she got like extensive experience from and shared her experience from implementation perspective, and shared a couple approaches in terms of solving this problem from implementation perspective. While Anu have also shared her perspective in terms of some workaround using Adobe's visualization to answer some of the business questions related to the form. So really appreciate both of them sharing different angles to solve this type of questions from the stakeholders. Cool. We're halfway there. The next one is a relatively, I think, technical one with some very detailed questions on segments. So this user asks, we have two segments, one visitor container and one heat container in AA, both using the same eval, which expire on visit, standard default setup. This eval captures the logged in state of the user on every page view hit where possible. Example, segment 1, visitor container, eval 1 equals logged in. Segment 2, hit container, eval 1 logged in. When we pull a report using both segments with the visit metric, we were expecting the numbers to be the same. However, we saw the visits for the visitor container segment still larger than the hit container segment. Would there be any scenario where this could happen? Have you experienced something similar before? So I feel like this segment related question falls very much into Leo's expertise. Do you want to take up this one?
Yeah, I can try, but I think segment is I think segment is one of the most powerful tools in Adobe Analytics and the most troublesome thing in the Adobe Analytics. And honestly speaking, if just looking for this simple definition and then I try to do something to try to reproduce something like this, honestly speaking, my result is the same. So I see that the wizard container and the heat container with this simple definition, it always give the same result. And then I also agree with this user that it is the expectation. So what my further thinking is, are we doing a the simplest table that with just one with a matrix with two segments below it, and then no complicated breakdown in the dimension in this simplest form? I see, and I also believe they should be they should be the same, because we can understand that heat container is the lowest level, and then when we go up into the wizard container or wizard matrix, a heat container when it this segment getting a true for this particular heat, it will be bubble up to this visit level and then included in the visit. So for this one, I will think about, okay, if there is any other noise around this table, this report that may introduce this issue. And then also, if we want to dig deeper to understand what is the potential issue, we will need to go into very technical thing about how Adobe bring it out from these hit data. So the next thing I will try to troubleshoot this one is, if we don't see any thing we can find out in this analysis workspace, I will do a data dump of the hit data for some day range or whatever we can try to narrow down. And then from that ER1 in the hit data and also the post ER1, and then to look at, okay, how many record we are getting this record, and then do our own calculations and then try to reproduce, try to see if we can get the same number as in this analysis workspace. If we are still having the problem, I think it will be a good ticket for Adobe that, okay, we see problem in here, and then we do the calculation by ourselves using the hit data, and then we see some mismatch or whatever, and then we need to, I think we can submit a ticket to Adobe that, okay, we found some problem, and then let's help to do some analysis. But really, just based on these simple logic and description, I am also expecting the visit should be the same.
Yeah, I agree with Leo. Like this is a simple, like like basic, simple containers like we would have all came across, and ideally this should be the same. And probably like if they have a long panel with many visualizations, and if they have some filter or segment applied on top of that, that could affect it. But ideally this should have been the same, but not on this page. But then I have something else to share. So most people expect that whenever there is a page load, say, that all the page load parameters would still be there, and they can use this in segment, and they kind of like think that if there's an eva that would persist, if it's a hit, then that would not persist. And we might actually like think about that level of persistence and the like variable properties while creating a segment. But I would just like share something that we faced. So there could be like a couple of scenarios in which this might not work as you expect. One could be when we have page loads once the page is loaded, and then we have the page load server calls going in. But there could be instances where visitors would just like click on something before the page load server call happens. And at that time what happens is, if you have like say a clear var set from Adobe launch, then you might expect that this like page load variables would be there if it's like set from like different like rules or settings. So there could be global variables that are set as part of the extension, or you could even have a global page load rule. But then there could also be like variables that you set in a different rule. So there are chances that this kind of variables that are set at different times, or using different rules, some of them might get like cleared using this like if at all a custom link happens before the page load server call. But again, that doesn't justify what we see here in this question with the like segments. But that is one case, like where the data might not come as expected, especially for a page view. So
Yeah. Thank you, Anu and Leo, for sharing experience on this one. Yes, agree. This is a common um, issue I believe most people have faced before. And thank you for Anu for listing out some scenarios or examples of like potentially why the discrepancy might arise. Thank you for sharing that. Next one, AI, hot topic. And this one we're talking about, okay, how can we tell like how much and what AI traffics are included in overall traffic? So the question is, hey, with the implementation of AI in search engines, websites, and devices, new sources of traffic are emerging. Currently, Adobe Analytics can identify AI traffic when it comes from other websites or domains, but the rest of new AI sources is not measured by the tool, or at least not to my knowledge. My question for the community is to know if there is something we can do with the current Adobe Analytics features to identify these new AI sources, maybe a new configuration, or if the company is planning to launch new features to be able to calculate AI traffic. I personally, I like to understand. I got an answer on this one as well. Like for example, like how if I want to understand how much of the traffic to our asset is from ChatGPT, like how are we able to know that? Anyone who like to share some thoughts on this one?
yeah, so
I
I think we can use the referrer or the referring domain and identify, like just use the like use it to filter out traffic coming from ChatGPT or Gemini or like the major AI platforms out there, and that should work. But I don't think there is anything official as like that would just give you out of the box like AI traffic related data. But then you can use this information, like say in a processing rule, and then set it in UR, or if needed, like we can create segments, and that could also filter out this kind of AI traffic. And if needed, if you need to make it really fancy, you can even try a custom implementation to start an EVAR at the time of capturing the data. Processing rules would be after the data is collected. And I think if needed, you can also think about as a channel itself in the marketing channel processing rule as well. But yeah, I think this is something that every one of us should watch out for, since the traffic coming in from AI is like only increasing day by day. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things we are considering right now is add .ai as a TLD, and to see if it, like Anu said, like if you want to do a marketing channel out of it separately, if that's something of interest. And you'll notice, like we were talking, I think in the champions chat Slack as well, about like how much of traffic each firm is seeing. There's about like 4% traffic. Many were saying 4 to 5% traffic, which you're seeing from that. So is that worth a separate marketing channel, and is that going to create more alarm, or is that going to create more understanding of what kind of traffic we're getting to the site? So that's something to think about. But yeah, in the simplest way, you can also do it with CJAs, again refer, and then you can say contains.ai and create a separate field out of that. So that's something which you can do easily. And then segments, and of course a marketing channel, but a marketing channel usually needs more discussion with your business stakeholders that you're working with. So yeah.
Yeah, and my take on this one is really we don't have any quick and simple solutions on this one because for the AI traffic, you can think of it is a level up of the search engine traffic that come into our website and then do the crawling, taking all the data. And then traditionally, I think it may kind of a segue to the next question about search engine detection. That Adobe have a way to detect search engine because they are well established. But I don't think we have any well established list of AI traffic identification. There is no industrial standard, and then we have a new AI coming up from for the last 2 years, and then I can think there will be more to come, and then it will be hopefully. I really hope that Adobe can come up with a AI list that they can identify, maybe with some sort of alliance with Google or whoever that in this industry. Because I also make a post into this chat that Adobe also released an article that I think it is a common problem for many people, not just us, even to Adobe, even to all other digital analytics provider, that these AI traffic create problem in our normal user analysis type of exercise. That I hope that those are vendor, Adobe, Google, and whoever, can come up with something similar to website search engine identification, and then also some collaboration with those AI provider that we can come to some sort of common protocol in the browser agent string type of thing that to identify this is a AI traffic, that we can have a simpler approach to identify those AI traffic, and then we can have a more systematical way to exclude them. But unfortunately, AI is just too new now into this domain that we don't have any good practice, and then to do a very systematic exclusion for now. I really hope there will be something can come that not as an individual user to do this type of identification and exclusion, but from a more systematic system level point of view.
Yeah. Thank you, Leo. Actually, yes, I was
To
hello, can you hear me okay? Yes. I was trying to find if there's any articles in Experience League. Unfortunately, nothing about AI, but this one is talking about the list of search engines. So basically, the question, like the last question. Um, I think it's to your point. Yes, I haven't been looking to like admin suite for a while to have a look at like the latest list of search engine listed out by Adobe Analytics so far. Like, has they started to include some like most advanced ChatGPT or other AI search tool into the list? Haven't been looking at it for a while. Probably not so far. I imagine so.
Yeah,
But yeah, sorry, Anu.
yeah, I don't think that's included in this.
Yeah, yeah, I imagine so. But I think for this one potentially answers the next question, like where can we find the list of search engine recognized by Adobe Analytics? I may just post that article into the chat. Yeah.
I think I've shared a different version of that, but yeah.
Cool. Oh.
should be the same one.
I think your one is better because this is basically in your page. It has listed out the full list already, rather than just a partial screenshot in my version.
Yeah, I think it just says it's updated in Feb 2020. But the actual list could be like, even longer. So if we actually go to the report sheet settings and then go to paid search detection, that is where we can find this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anu. I believe that marks the end of all the questions. So we covered it well. So while we only got 6 questions, we definitely has expanded the conversation and shared lots of real examples as well. I hope the attendees found value out of the session. Me personally, I think for the AI traffic, as well as the bot traffic one, definitely personally learned a lot out of the conversation from Leo, Deb, and Anu. So hopefully the attendees is feeling the same. I believe we're right on time. Before we close up, I'd like to call out like 2 people in the background, Mandy, George, and Ivana in the background supporting us from tech perspective. I really appreciate their time to ensure we have a smooth session. So really call out their effort in the background, and really want to call out the appreciate time and the experience shared by Leo, Deb, and Anu for this whole hour. Really, really appreciate their time. With that, we may close out today's office hours. You'll see the recordings in the YouTube channel in the next 3 to 5 days. I hope you have enjoyed tonight's discussion, and hopefully see everyone again in next month's office hours. Thank you all.
Thanks,
And,
Victor.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely night. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.